right, it's 2 o'clock on the dot, and first I want to just do a technology check here. So those of you that have called in on the phone, you also have the option to join online, and you should see me live. So we're trying a new camera feature here, and also the PowerPoint slides that we have for today. So if we could just see the attendee list real quick.
Sure.
So right now online it looks like we have, let's start at the top. Wow, we have Alana and Alejandra, Amy, Jacqueline, Jennifer, Joanne, Kathleen, Kelsey, Patty, Susan, and Whitney. Is anyone else on the phone that maybe not online yet? All right, great. So glad you all could join us. So we're going to start with a little bit of a round robin to get ourselves engaged and talking a little bit. So I posed a question to you all, and if possible, if you don't have an answer to the question, that's just fine. You can say that it's not coming to you, or that you haven't really heard anything new. But the question to you is, what new wellness information, event, or announcement have you recently heard that left you surprised, perplexed, or inspired? So let's take a quick pause and think about the answer to that question. Then we'll do a little bit of a round robin. And I'd love to hear what your most recent announcement or event relating to wellness is that left you surprised, perplexed, or inspired. So I think I'm going to start at the bottom of my attendee list, and I think that's Whitney. Do you have anything that you've heard lately that's left you inspired or perplexed related to wellness?
The only thing that comes to mind isn't relevant, but in our garden we have a serious aphid problem. So I've been thinking about aphids.
Oh, okay. Very good. The challenges of gardening. Thank you. All right. Can I see that attendee list? Sorry. I'm going to look at my list. Thank you for sharing. So next, how about Susan? Are you on?
I am on.
Yes. What's the latest that you've heard?
I am really inspired after hearing the importance of sleep to go give it a try.
Oh, great. Well, great.
As in a nap.
Oh, as in a nap. Oh, to go try yourself. Very good. And we'll be talking a little bit more about sleep here in the next agenda item. Thank you for sharing. Patty, how about you?
I'm with Susan. I'm also inspired by the importance of sleep. So I myself have not done any better about trying to get more sleep, but I'm definitely gonna work on it.
Great. That sounds like a good plan. Thank you. And how about Kelsey?
Yeah, I'm kind of in this, well, there's a few things. One is definitely we're taking the sleep stuff discussed from last time and from the WIC newsletter, and we are going to develop a training here in Jefferson County to do with all the staff and hopefully start developing some handouts and posters and things to really hit the message home with clients and help the educators feel more comfortable with addressing sleep with the clients.
Great.
And then also I'm excited because there is a weight management certification in childhood obesity offered through the CDR A&D for dietitians, and it's coming to Denver in November, and it looks like we'll be able to go. So hopefully that will inspire some new things as well.
Certainly. Thanks for sharing that, Kelsey. Is anyone else planning on attending that training?
Yeah, this is Alana from Wells County, and I'm planning on attending.
I'm sorry, I think somebody just spoke, but I couldn't quite hear you. It was Alana.
Yeah, this is Alana from
Hi,
Wells
Alana.
County.
Okay.
And I am planning on attending.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. That gives me some great content for later on this fall or going into winter as we join together as wellness coordinators to maybe get a report out from you two about, or others who attend the training, about what we can all learn from it. What are the biggest takeaways? Thank you so much. All right, Kathleen, how about you? What have you heard recently?
This isn't related to sleep at all, but I had a client who this is her third child, and there's a few
years difference between her previous child and this one, but we were talking about introducing solids, and when I brought up rice, she asked if she should steam white rice and put it in the blender. So it was just funny how,
Oh, interesting.
even though it's not her first child, that
Sure.
they still need that reminder, I guess. I'm not sure.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you for sharing. Let's see. Joanne, how about you?
I don't think I've heard anything new, but it's been interesting asking moms when I remember to ask them in the nutrition interview about sleep. Yeah, so it's good. It's amazed how many kids have TVs in their rooms and have to have it before they can go to sleep.
Great. Thank you for sharing.
Uh-huh.
And Jennifer, anything new that you've heard recently about wellness?
Actually, we, at our all-staff meeting for WIC, we did a little training on sleep, and I think my staff felt inspired by that because it's something new, and sometimes we can say the same old things over and over, and they're like, oh, we're kind of excited because this is something new to talk with families about. So they were excited. We haven't quite decided. We haven't decided on like the handouts we're going to give out, but then, we have families who actually, they do ask about sleep, and they just didn't know how to answer. So now they feel like they have some knowledge at least.
Great.
Or support, yeah.
That's great news. That was the whole intent of all of your roles, is to help staff feel more confident in some of these subject areas. Thank you for sharing. Sure. Let's see. Jacqueline, how about you?
I think for us, I'm at the Northland office, and I'm inspired by our girls. They have a new initiative to try to lose some weight, and we're doing a little potlucks every week together and going on walks, and I'm just inspired by WIC educators' excitement.
So some new wellness activities for your staff.
Yeah.
Exciting. Amy, how about you?
I don't know if I've learned anything new lately, but I guess I'm just focused on not being stressed and getting enough sleep. So
great.
That's what's going on here.
Great. And Alana, how about you? Oops, I skipped Alex in the list. I got to keep myself organized. Alex, how about you?
I'm with Amy. I don't think if I've heard anything necessarily new lately, but it's just been inspiring to have it on the forefront of my brain when talking with clients.
Great. About sleep, or is that the
main?
Okay.
Sorry.
Excellent, excellent. All right, how about you, Alana?
Mostly I just had conversations with my clients, and also I've heard some of the staff having conversations with our clients, and it seems like none of the parents that we talk to, their kids are getting the recommended amount of sleep. And I think what we found most perplexing is, we go through all of the reasoning, trying to not to have TVs in the room, trying not to have caffeine, and still the kids are only getting 8 hours of sleep, so we're a little perplexed about that.
All right, so it's been kind of surprising to hear how much sleep the families really do get.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Now, did I miss anyone in our round robin? Great, thank you all for sharing. That's been really great to hear. Mainly a lot about sleep and how that's been inspiring to you and your staff, and then and to yourselves as well, getting more sleep and helping yourselves be less stressed and more rested. So thanks for sharing all of that, and thanks again for joining us. So a brief overview of our agenda. We've already kind of moved into our next item on our agenda around sharing what we've been doing around sleep. So I captured a few of those that I'll restate that you've just mentioned in our introduction, and then we'll be sure that anyone who has additional items to share around sleep are able to share. And then I want to talk a little bit about a recent event in the media that I wanted you all to be aware of and have some talking points for, in case the question comes up in your communities. And then also, or towards the end of our call, we'll talk a little bit about those referral letters. And as a as a wellness coordinator, it's an opportunity to involve you in some decision making around some of the processes and procedures that we're putting out here at the state office around early childhood obesity prevention, mainly by way of those referral letters. And then we'll wrap up at the end with an announcement and a big thank you at the end. So does anyone else have any agenda items you'd like to add to the list? All right. So we can go to, oops, I've got the controller here. Getting used to all the little gadgets here I need to play with. I can't seem to get it to go to the next slide. Yeah.
Come on. It was working earlier.
We're trying to get it to the next slide. All right, so I'm featuring here, this is the slide for our conversation about sleep, a resource that Amy Armstrong sent to us from Tri-County Health Department. Thank you so much for all of the resources you've sent around sleep. I know that I've seen in some of your wellness coordinator logs that some of you have used those resources, and here's another one that Amy sent last week. And I put it up here just to stimulate our conversation around maybe what we've done around sleep since our last call. And this here is a table tent, and I sent it to you in an email also maybe a couple of hours ago, so you should have this resource for you. I forwarded that from Amy Armstrong. So on this topic of sleep, already during our call, Kelsey shared in Jefferson County that you're thinking about doing a training on sleep and developing handouts, and it sounds like in San Juan Basin, Jenny Harrison mentioned that you did a staff training around sleep that was new to them and inspiring, and they feel like they've got the tools in their back pockets to answer questions around sleep. And then finally, the last comment by, I think it was Alana, around how your staff was perplexed about how much the amount of sleep that families are really getting. So those are a few that I heard during our introduction, that there is some activity that you all are engaged in around sleep, and that's just outstanding to hear, and it sounds like it's been something that's been well embraced by all of you and your staff as far as a training topic. So what I'd like to do is just open it up for any other, or those of you who have already spoken, you can definitely elaborate more on what it is that the activities have been about since our last call regarding healthy sleep habits, or another timely topic. And worksite wellness was one of the ones mentioned at the end of the introduction as well, that your staff has picked up on some healthy habits for staff. So anyways, are there any other activities you'd like to share with your fellow wellness coordinators on some of the activities that you've done since our last call? I'll just open it up.
This is Jacqueline again.
Hi, Jacqueline.
So I just met with the staff to see how they're doing with the new sleep resources, and I got some good feedback that they really like to talk about sleep, and they feel like it's an easy topic for them to discuss, and they especially like the handout from CSU that had some of the snack recipes on the back. And then they were saying that a lot of the times the moms are saying that they're working on their kids getting enough sleep, but then they themselves aren't getting enough sleep, and they're doing too many chores and trying to get up early so they can clean and different things. So kind of some other resources, just encouraging the moms themselves to be getting enough sleep as well.
Right. So the conversations have been pretty lively, it sounds like, with the participants.
Mm-hmm.
Let me make a couple notes here.
And they talked about maybe, dividing the chores between the family, so it's not doing everything.
So it's this conversation of getting more sleep is maybe getting to some of these root causes that where parents, or one parent or another parent, is just too overloaded with too much to do, and working on some of those root cause solutions, it sounds like.
Yeah.
That's great. Any others, activities, besides working with families, having it be part of conversations with families, trainings, and it sounds like some material development. Is anyone else doing some more of that activity or anything different?
So this is Amy Armstrong.
Amy.
So at Tri-County, we have some offices that do group appointments. And it's normally time blocked where we see check pickup appointments. And this is a great way where we usually have a theme for it. So I know some of the offices, especially in Aurora, have been doing group appointments, and they'll try to incorporate the sleep message in there as one of the key messages. So that has seemed to be working well.
Great. So working this sleep concept into group appointments, it's been encouraging. Well, excellent. I think these are examples of exactly what I was hoping that this wellness coordinator system would encourage to happen at the local agencies and clinics. So I thank all of you for putting this effort in and giving it a try, and seeing how this sleep topic and doing activities around sleep can inspire people and engage parents in maybe a different conversation than is typical during the WIC visits. So I congratulate all of you and thank you for sharing. So if there's nothing else, I can move on to the next part of the agenda. And feel free, if you need to stop me on this next part, that's absolutely fine, and ask a question or a comment. It's very informal, even though it feels, we're not all in the same room. So next slide, please. Okay, so if I could just get some yeses maybe, if that you saw anything about a CDC report come out last week. Did anybody see that about obesity?
Yes.
Some yeses? Okay. Well, great. Of course, we saw this too, and the media saw it as well. And so we were busy actually I was busy. Patricia Daniluk and I were pretty busy answering many media questions. And so I'll just give a little history. I just wanted all of you to be aware of this CDC report and maybe our response to that report and some talking points in case anyone in your communities might ask you at WIC. And you can share this with your staff as well. So what happened was, or what has happened, and many of you probably know this, is up through 2011, Colorado WIC, as well as WIC programs and maternal and child health, some maternal and child health programs in other states, most states in the country send data, height and weight data, and many other health indicators to CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, for the Pediatric Nutrition Surveillance System. And what they do in CDC with all this data is they analyze it in a consistent way for all states. They create and generate reports for states to use as we conduct surveillance activities on our populations in individual states. And they also are able to monitor the nutrition status of children in low-income children in programs like WIC and a few others, to monitor the nutrition status nationwide. So CDC discontinued that system. It's called PEDNUS for short, that Pediatric Nutrition Surveillance System. It is, we no longer send data to them as of 2012. So at the end of 2011, they discontinued that system. So in 2012, all the states are analyzing their own data, and we did receive a lot of guidance and some code, some SAS, statistical analysis code, so that we can analyze that data ourselves. So what CDC put out last week, for those of you that didn't see it, was something called a vital signs report. And that vital signs report showed on the front page a map that looks like this, that shows that Colorado and 2 other states are actually increasing in obesity in ages 2 through 4. So of course you can imagine what my day was like that day when this hit the press, and I received a lot of calls. I did several media interviews that day, and the story behind this map is very interesting. And actually, I was surprised that none of you mentioned this article when we did the first go around about what did you hear new that was perplexing or or confusing perhaps. But regardless, the story behind this map is clearly visible in this report that's tied to this report called the MMWR. It's a Morbidity Mortality Weekly Report. So in that, it shows our trends in Colorado. And if you can kind of follow me here, in hindsight, I wish I would have put a slide on here for you to visualize. But in 2008, our obesity prevalence was 9.4. In 2009, it was 9.0. In 2010, it was 9.1. And then we had a slight increase to 10% in 2011. So this is why CDC is calling it an increasing trend. Because in 2011, that 1 year, our data went up, and our prevalence of obesity went up. And if you remember what happened in 2011, does anybody remember? Compass, right? We all transitioned to Compass, and we really only reported 4 months worth of data to CDC instead of a full year worth of data. So the next slide here shows, if you get any questions, shows how you can respond. That really tells the story behind that map. And the first response is that regardless of that map, Colorado is still the second lowest prevalence of obesity among this population of 2 through 4 year olds in WIC programs in the country. So we are still have one of the lowest prevalences in the country. So of course that didn't make the vital signs front page, but the other map did. So of course a lot of people were wondering, what? I thought we were doing well, you know, and we are. Over time, the second point here on this slide is that Colorado's prevalence has really been fairly stable over the past several years. And that 1 year of 2011 is certainly a data set that looks a little different, but it's not really indicating a trend upward. By our interpretation, it's still relatively stable. And as a matter of fact, for 2012 data, we've run that data. We ran it a couple of months ago, and our statewide prevalence is 8.4%. So you can see here that these were my main answers to the questions by the media, and of course they were wondering, what on earth is this about? And this really describes what the data does really show. And I just wanted to open it up for any questions or comments or your reactions to all of this for those of you that saw it. I'll just open it up for you to ask questions. Did anybody see the Denver Post article or the Colorado Springs Gazette by chance?
I saw the Post article, and I thought the way it was handled on Colorado WIC end was done really, really well.
Yeah, I think that the media outlets that came and spoke with us and had held interviews with us, they did a good job of displaying the correct frame that we put forward. So I would agree with you. I thought it turned out well. So this is for you to take. Have any of you had questions from anyone in your agencies, in your health departments, or from the community? Well, that's good news, I guess. Either people didn't see it, or people, already have the information they have and just haven't thought to ask, perhaps. But do know that this might come up in conversation with others, and these 3 points here are a good way to describe what's happening. And certainly it does not suggest that we don't have a problem here. It's still unacceptable that just under 1 in 10 preschoolers are obese in our state. But we don't want to convey the message that our prevalence is increasing, because our data simply does not show that. And in Colorado, we very much value healthy environments and being healthy. So these are the talking points that you can use in case you do get a question about that.
I have a question.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
This is Sue in Lincoln County.
Sue.
What is the Healthy People 2020 goal for this?
The 2020 goal for obesity, it was I believe it was a 10% for the whole population. They don't have a goal specifically for early childhood, but for the entire population, there was a 10% reduction from the last time that they did the goals. So for Colorado, I think for overweight and obesity prevalence combined, I'm trying to remember here what I have in my action plans, I think that brings us to 22% something like that. 22% overweight and obese combined would be the 2020 goal. I haven't set that target for obese only, because for maternal and child health, we look at both overweight and obesity prevalence.
Okay.
Does that help a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. And as a matter of fact, I'd like to also add that I've been involved in this position for setting the maternal and child health performance measure targets for Colorado, and we just completed that last month. And for the first time in years, we've set a target that's lower than we've been able to in the past. So for a long time, the target was 23%, but now we've set it to 22.7 overweight and obese, or it could be 0.9, one of those. Anyways, we have set a target that's slightly lower, so we're starting to feel comfortable with setting lower targets in our performance measures. Any other questions or comments about that? All right, thanks so much for listening to that. I hope that you've got that in your back pocket if you need it, but it certainly was quite active here last week as we were talking with the media, something that I'm not sure I like so much, but I did it. All right, so next slide. Okay, let's see how we're doing on time here. Okay, we're doing great on time. So the next topic is around these referral letters, and I thank you in advance for if you were able to take a look at these referral letters. I want to give a little bit of history before we start with this little discussion. So we drafted these letters as a way to achieve a few goals, and I'm trying to remember all of them off the top of my head. One of them definitely is to increase communication and collaboration between WIC and local healthcare providers. Also to share information so that healthcare providers can reinforce the same types of messages that we have in WIC. And goals as well for individuals. Another is to share, increase awareness around what WIC staff do during a visit, that we do take heights and weights, that we do do counseling around and goal setting around these lifestyle factors. And some healthcare providers might not be using the same screening tools, so it's an awareness that you can see in some of the footnotes in these letters that it cites the screening tools that are used. So it's an awareness of what is an appropriate screening tool, what should they be using. So those are a few of the reasons why we drafted these. And so we've had our internal nutrition consultants. They've looked at this and provided feedback. Then we had our nutrition education or nutrition services delivery advisory group look at it, and they are all, that group is made up of local WIC agency representatives to provide feedback. And for the last go around of feedback, we wanted all of you to have an opportunity to comment on these letters. So I want to thank Amy Armstrong's Tri-County. Thank you for sending me your feedback. I've got it right here, and definitely that's great feedback. I'll let you speak about it if you wish, but I do have that in writing here from you. And so I think one of the first questions I have for you is there any, or what is it that would make these letters more useful for those purposes, if there's any ideas? Let's just start with that question. Is there anything that would make these letters more useful?
Hi, Tracy. This is Kelsey in Jefferson County, and I was just wondering, for a little bit of background, are these meant to be auto-populated printouts in the Compass system?
They will not be in the Compass system. At this point, we're hoping that you all can, or the users of them, can have an electronic copy on a desktop and be able to just pull it up and fill in. You can copy and paste from Compass, like in the goals section, or if there's an address that you can copy and paste. But at this point, unfortunately, it's not going to be a pre-populated letter. Like I know there's a couple of other letters that are pre-populated like that. the timing of the letters, just we weren't able to get into this amendment, and I'm not certain if the resources will be available to make that happen, but at this point, no.
No, that's okay. And actually, that would have been my suggestion. That it's probably not the best idea, just because
Oh, really? Okay.
it would be hard to, unless possibly if it pulled the goal directly from the care plan, but depending on how the goal was worded, it could look funky. And I think probably some of the data that got pulled, it might look funky and need adjusting anyway. So it probably is a better idea to have it as a free-form letter that people can now save.
Sure. I did have a comment from someone, some feedback about maybe less areas to fill in. And so I'm going to be considering that, for example, not adding the caregiver's name. You know, are these fields that staff would need to enter in, are they totally necessary to avoid extra work? And another suggestion, which I thought was really good, is maybe if we do attach the growth charts, perhaps all of the anthros in these boxes might not be necessary for filling in. So that's just something around, the operational side of these letters that I'm considering.
I think it would benefit to be just one page.
Yes. Okay. Someone else suggested that too, and we might be, if we're able to get rid of some fields that aren't necessary, we might be able to squeeze it onto one page. I think that would be super as well.
I'm wondering if instead of putting all the data on that first page, if you are attaching all the anthro information, just have a box where it says area of concern.
Mm-hmm.
So that they could just zero in on that and say, okay, we're not worried, maybe we're not worried about the statute for age or the BMI for age, maybe we're worried about something else. If you're sending all the growth charts anyway, they can look at that, but just something to highlight why you're sending the letter and what you would like them to focus on.
That's a good suggestion.
And then this is Kelsey again from Jefferson County. So with that said, since everyone may not get the same information, just a line on there that says, please see attached growth grid.
Yes.
So that then it's a reminder to whoever's filling it out to attach the growth grid.
Great. Those are great suggestions, and they might be space-saving suggestions too, to get us down to the one page. So I'll definitely bring that back to the group, and with that growth grid, that solves a lot of the problems around entering and the space needed to enter data. So I like that suggestion.
One thing that I liked about the letters, I kind of liked that they were neutral, and they were very sensitive to the fact that it didn't highlight childhood obesity or high maternal gain. And so I'm not sure that I would want to highlight that on the letters.
You're not sure that you wouldn't or would?
That I wouldn't want that highlighted on the letters. Just because I don't know, like maybe our discussion would be fine with a client, but then maybe they would feel defensive afterwards or sensitive to that fact.
So just to make sure I'm understanding across the phone here, so you're suggesting that we should not have anything about obesity in here?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
because that's what I liked about the letters in the first place.
Yes.
I like how they're neutral. That wasn't highlighted.
Yes, and that was definitely the intent, that we're focusing on the solution of healthy eating, healthy lifestyles, active living. So really, we want to be talking about solutions rather than weighing too much and having too much emphasis on the word of obesity. So I appreciate that comment. Thank you.
This is Alex from Tri-County. Would we be sending this directly to the physician, or would we be hoping that the client would give it to their physician?
Well, we've explored both options, and what we've come up with is that my understanding is that in Amendment 7, there's you know, the permission to communicate with physicians. What do they call that? Help me out here. What is it? It's something that the participants sign upon certification that WIC can share information with their physician. And on every panel, it's going to show whether that permission is, on every panel in the nutrition interview, there's going to be an indicator that shows whether that permission is granted. So you, as as you're in an appointment, you're going to be able to see that, yes, I can share this with the physician. So in which case you would send this directly to the physician. In the event that permission is not shared, then it would need to be provided to the participant to take to the physician's office.
That's great.
Yeah, so that amendment, that component of the amendment that's coming out, when is it coming out? Very soon. That's kind of helpful for this, because then you don't have to go back and fish for whether or not you have permission to give this information to their physician.
Oh, that's great.
Yes. What else? Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention is that I had a pediatrician here at Denver Health that has been involved in one of my other collaboratives that I had. And we also had a nurse midwife from Rose Hospital comment on these letters. And they really, really thought that it was going to be a great communication tool, and just from the perspective of these two individuals, they certainly felt like and valued the collaboration with WIC, and that this is a great tool to do that with. So just know that it has been looked at by a couple of healthcare providers. Are there any what types of operational considerations do we need to really keep in mind as we write up procedures for the use of these letters? What are those types of things that are on your minds operationally, besides, time to fill in the boxes and some of the things we've already discussed? What are those things that we've got to keep in mind and think through?
This is Kelsey in Jefferson County, and the only other thing that pops in my mind, just because we do have stricter, is a reminder that local agency HIPAA laws may be different than state. Because I know that we here in Jefferson County are, without getting another release directly from the client, can't send anything to their doctor, even with that WIC permission.
Okay.
So probably just a reminder about that.
Sure. Thank you so much. So pretty much to say, check with your agency, to be sure that this sort of communication is going to be allowed by your procedure, your policies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just something like that.
Thank you very much. What else is entering your minds as you think of actually operationalizing these letters? All right, well, if there's nothing else there, feel free, if something comes to your mind, to send me an email. Every bit of feedback has been extremely valuable by all of you and all of the other local WIC agency representatives. It's just really shaped these letters to be the best that they can be, and please send that feedback along if anything else comes to your mind. Let's do a time check here. It's 2:38. Wow, we're doing great on time. We might even finish early. So, so I want to just have a small pause here, and all of you that have been listening and participating, thank you. So what I want you to do now is just take a pause and answer this question, and just write down something on a piece of paper that you have. And the question is, one way I can use what I learned today is, and it can be anything that you heard or learned, and think of one way that you can use that piece of information. Just take a pause for a moment. All right, thank you for capturing that thought. It's always good when we're, in the process of a training or a conversation or a webinar to be thinking about how you can apply something that you've heard, and that just allows us to make the most of our time that we spend here together on these calls and in any event that you are joining or a training, to figure out how it can help you in your work. So I appreciate that moment of pause, and we'll just move on to the next final topic of the agenda, and that's all about the regional training. So what I was hoping that all of you could do is, first of all, enjoy the regional training. We'll start with that, and then a little bit about your assignment between now and the next wellness coordinator call, and what we'd like to do there, what I'd like all of you to do. You're going to be learning a lot about some counseling related to healthy eating, active living. So I'm going to be holding a small session on early childhood obesity prevention. Most of that information you've already heard through being a wellness coordinator, but we're also going to have another speaker on physical activity. So definitely enjoy that time, and what I'd like you to do after that training is think of one thing from the regional training that you can reinforce with your staff, the staff in your clinic or agency, and how you might do that. And the assignment is to do it or plan it before the next wellness coordinator calls. And we understand that all of us have really tight schedules. Some of us are able to do things more than others. Regardless, if you can do it, that's great. If you can just think about it and plan it for future, that's great too. One thing about trainings like the regional training is it's difficult to think of, okay, we have everybody's attention for the one day that you attend and you learn a lot, but how do you keep reinforcing and bringing those concepts out in daily practice? And I think that's an excellent role for each of you, is to figure out what we learned in that training, what can I reinforce and keep moving in among the staff that I work with as a wellness coordinator. So that's really what I'd like you to do, and between now and the next call is really think about that regional training, enjoy it, and think about how you can help reinforce those concepts. And when we come back together next time, we'll do some sharing around what it is that we reinforce and how, so that we all can become better, learn new things to become better trainers or better support people for our staff. And work on that competency as wellness coordinators. So I'd also like to, are there any questions about that, first of all, about this little assignment before the next wellness coordinator call in October? Does that sound doable? Okay, so one other thing I want to mention about the WIC regional training. Several of you I have contacted individually about this one segment of my session. So at the end of each day of regional training, some of you will be attending on the 27th and some of you on the 28th. I'm going to be on the agenda. I'm the last presenter for the last hour. And for the very last segment of my hour, I'm going to talk a little bit about the wellness coordinator system and what all this activity you've been involved in has been about, the goals of the system and what we're trying to achieve. And what we're going to do towards the end of that little segment is I'm going to allow kind of a tune down of the volume for the remote sites, so that we can hear from all of you, any of you that are interested in sharing something. So, for example, just to illustrate there's lots of logistics around it. I will be live and present at Tri-County Health Department, and I know there's going to be several wellness coordinators in the room. So any of you that want to speak up that are going to be at the Tri-County site to share some of the activities that you've done, or plan, or what life is like as a wellness coordinator, I'd really appreciate that. And then what's going to happen at the remote site where the live presenters are not is the facilitator at those sites is going to turn the volume down, and if there's any wellness coordinators in the room, and some of you have talked to by email directly, then we'll have some people share at those remote sites. So wellness coordinators share some of those same things. What are the activities you've been involved in? What do you have planned? Or what has life been like as a wellness coordinator? So not all remote sites will have a wellness coordinator able to share. So in that case, those sites can just stay tuned to the live site where I will be facilitating a conversation among the wellness coordinators in the room. So feel free to your comfort level if you'd like to share something about your wellness coordinator experience and what you've been doing in your role. I think that'll really leave the audience in whichever site you're going to be at just in the know about the wellness coordinator system and what it really means. And always having that local feel too is better than always listening to me or people from the state office all the time. So I just wanted to incorporate some of that. But those of you who are able to do that, thank you, and just know that that's coming for the last segment of the regional training. Are there any questions or comments about that plan? Let me know if there's any questions that come up regarding that, or if it's fine if you don't want to speak up. I think I've got a good idea of which sites would need to turn the volume down and which ones can go ahead and carry on a conversation at their own sites. So thank you very much for that participation. I appreciate it. So that concludes our agenda today. Are there any last minute comments or questions, announcements that you have? We can have a couple minutes for that if there's anything to mention.
This is Sue in Lincoln County.
Hi,
and
Sue.
It's nice to be able to see you when we're talking to you.
Yes, I know that's a bonus. It helps with the engagement and see a face with the words. So I appreciate that. I wanted to give it a try.
Glad it's not two-way today.
What's that?
I'm glad it's not a two-way video today.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be technically overwhelming probably to figure that out, but you never know. We'll have, in 5 years from now, everyone will be able to see each other. Anything else before we conclude? All right, thanks so much for your participation, and we will see you either live in person or across our cameras on the 27th or 28th at regional training. So thank you very much. Have a good day, everybody.